Do you have what it takes to be an actor and dive deep into the pits of misery, misfortune, and trauma? Look no further than your prime example of this anime then, Aqua Hoshino. Rather than live your life of happiness and fun, it all comes down to purpose, and that purpose, revenge on Chi-Chi. Not only does this episode of Oshinoko continues to deliver Aqua's resolve in wanting to yeet Chi-Chi, it does an incredible job keeping us engaged while leading us to a bombshell of a cliffhanger. Spoiler alert, guys, for Oshinoko Season 2, Episode 20 overall, Yume. I'm going to take a slightly different approach for this Oshinoko video. I want to key in on the little subtle things that the story does to keep us engaged. When the biggest climactic part of this whole arc is pretty much over from the previous episode, one of the biggest parts of an anime like Oshinoko is just keeping that air of mystery. In this episode, they did just that, just to lead us down a path of misdirection, just to bombshell us. The first half of the episode completes Aqua's emotional acting, from feral, angry despair to utter joy and relief. In the middle of the episode, it continues to carry on this contrast between Arima and Akane, both of their acting and how they view themselves compared to the other, while a couple of old dudes continue to speculate over their rise in stardom. And we got that new challenger. If you guys are like me and are questioning why Ruby hasn't been utilized yet in season 2, very mildly this episode, in episode 15 overall, is teasing a slightly different side to Ruby that we have yet to really figure out. But yeah, let's jump right into the episode. From utter enjoyment, from his mother's praise, to sweaty disaster of fake biting the crap out of Himekawa. The flashback of Ai Hoshino praising a young Aqua after his first acting performance must be eating him from the inside as he turns a passion that's connected positively to his late mother to one that's swirling with immense guilt experienced from a mind-altering tragedy. Arima praises Aqua's emotional acting due to a scene that involves the tragic loss of Princess Saya, but realizes that he looks a lot more in pain and in agony. It might be a little bit too much overacting right here. It flashes back once again to his PTSD at the scene of Aqua's guilt, looking at a deceased Ai, where his PTSD tells him that suffering is all he can endure until the day he yeets Chi-Chi. His PTSD also calls into question if meeting and experiencing friendship with Arima and Akane means anything to him, leaving a lot of the scene up for interpretation. However dark his PTSD is, it may seem like Aqua has developed a little more clarity of being in the moment of his suffering. Then, the fight scene between Toki and Blade continues on as it continues on with a more dimmed audio with somber piano music playing into the background until this major ending to the play concludes. The scene calls once again for Aqua to use a different side of his emotional acting, from one of anger and despair to one of extreme relief and utter bliss that something unimaginable and impossible occurred. Aqua digs deep into his dreams of something that can never actually be reality and uses his fleeting dream of Ai actually surviving that one tragic day into his acting as Toki, seeing a beloved Princess Saya coming back to life, giving the audience a fake hope that maybe I did survive, and having her freaking talk and wink at us, you bastards. And just like that, the play is over as Toki cries his heart out in convincingly fake happiness. Yuki, Nobu, and Kengo congratulate Akane on her performance, but she eventually starts to weep that her performance as an actor still has a ways to go, as the real talented actors are people like Himekawa and Arima. During the scene, Ruby comes snooping around, and this little moment continues to be kind of like her foreshadowing from a prior episode in episode 15 overall, with Minami and herself looking for Aqua, who's always coming home late. When there is a character like Ruby that is a very central part of the story, and she's barely being seen this entire season doing anything that important, it's these subtle scenes like this that sets us up for, I wonder what she's up to. Ruby is kind of like this airheaded personality, super bubbly, like Ai's personality as well. From one side of her character, she is just really curious as she wants to be an entertainer. But on the other side, Aqua and Ruby experience that Ai tragedy together. Who's to say that she is not coping in her own way in keeping things to herself? And on top of that, she did die as Serena. So there's a lot of trauma and misfortune for Ruby's past. Just as Aqua is trying to suffer alone and take things to his own hands, but Ruby being Aqua's twin, we are starting to see maybe, possibly, a dynamic shift into Ruby. So it's just a really subtle scene for a brief moment where they show Ruby snooping around, being interested into something. So overall, her character is really used to kind of develop this curiosity for what the mystery of what she's going to do later, or what this is going to set up for her character. So Arima starts complaining about how exhausted she is and that she has to continue performing for a whole month, while mem-cho throws salt on her wounds as she tells her that they got to make some more YouTube videos for Bikomachi later. However, Ruby steps in to give Kana her due praise for her brilliant performance, but Arima can't help but look at herself as nothing truly special as she starts to think about Akane's performance as Princess Saya. Just as Akane is jealous and looks up to Arima's acting, Arima does the same in this scene as she's expecting with the others that her acting shouldn't be considered anything special, as she kinda just does what she pleases. As someone like Akane, who seems possessed, like she's Ai Hoshino or something, brings a whole other level of stage presence that Arima cannot bring. Akane being able to perform nonchalantly and even impacting and raising Aqua's level of performance. That right there to Arima is a real talent. So the scene right here continues to just compare and contrast Arima and Akane's skills and abilities, while acknowledging that what they have, the other doesn't have, but they see the other person as the more talented person because they can't do what the other character can do. So both characters have kind of like this myopic look towards themselves, while in reality they are really talented, but we're always viewing other people and seeing their talents and envying others for that, or what they don't have, when they should be focusing on what they do have. Arima and Akane are such great characters, as they both have like their own unique personalities, but they serve as archetypes to show the psychology of an entertainer. While at the same time, when Ruby was praising Arima, she kind of has like this worried look on her face. So that kind of continues to hint at Ruby not feeling like she's where she needs to be. La La Live Theater director and leader Kindaichi and producer Kaburagi have a nice little chat outside while they chill with some smokes. These behind the scene characters that tremendously impact what can happen on screen serves as that vehicle to inform the audience, us, how life is like for these actors that have multiple acting jobs they are simultaneously working on. Kaburagi brings up that Arima unexpectedly outperformed what he thought and starts to speculate over her change in performance being related to her being an idol, or perhaps even getting a murder in the making boyfriend. Beyond idols just being cute, there are other qualities that makes these girls stand out more, and there's no better character that contributes to this like Arima and her persuasive personality. She really is a character that wants to be a star and has the personality behind her to do it. Awards can bolster the public eye into buying into their cuteness. This is what Kaburagi tries to explain in these girls having that star quality, in which Arima displays. A lot of this show in this episode tries to show all the characters star-like qualities that draws parallel to Ai Hoshino, who represents that rising star. How many times have we seen in the story show Akane as Ai? Now we have Arima representing that bubbly, cute, star-like personality that is similar to Ai's personality, that can easily win over fans. While Kaburagi sees a potential star like Boom for Arima Kana, Kindaichi sees Kurokawa Akane potentially catapulting as a star as well. But there was one other person he felt intrigued by. So after this Tokyo Blade arc, we are continually seeing the rise of Arima and Akane as potential stars. It gives us these psychological pitfalls of what it's like to become a star. seeing these characters struggle in their own way. And it also gives us their take on the entertainment industry and how they see and perceive it, and how they deal with it. I mean, one almost yeeted herself and the other got ditched by her mom. While her reputation as a good actor started to wane, and along with her work, it started to dwindle, and she was left with melt. However, given Aqua's almost brilliant performance, we got a new rising star in the story in terms of acting. Raida, the producer of Tokyo Blade, does what he always does and watches the audience leave the play to get a sense of their reaction to how good or bad the play was, and of course, it was all smiles. The main scriptwriter Goa is pleased, and most importantly, the sole creator of Tokyo Blade, Abiko, is exceptionally pleased. Although these other characters like Abiko was like a subplot, but it's nice to see from their perspective, along with Goa and like a Yuriko, Raida, that it feels like a sense of completeness after the arc is over for these characters, after seeing their struggles. It's a nice lesson and cool to see some insight into the entertainment industry and what it takes to really bring together a performance like Tokyo Blade. While the Tokyo Blade play arc starts to conclude, Aqua's quest for revenge still continues as it is revealed that he did in fact do another DNA testing to find out who his daddy is. This scene happened really fast, but we are already going to the obvious, and that Kindaichi possibly being Aqua's daddy. That is the crux of the main plot and why we are continually watching. We want to know about Aqua's dad or any kind of context related to Ai's death. By this point, we are like in the third half of the episode where building tension back up within the story is necessary to keep our attention as the Tokyo Blade play is over. So that means everything we're witnessing right now is just to build up for the next arc. After another round of the play's performance, we get a scene that kind of represents what all the performers tend to do afterwards, and that is party and drink ginger ale. The actors convinced Kindaichi, who's an older man, to go with them to hang out. And while Arima is down to just go home, Aqua quickly said he would be joining the festivities, swiftly reversing Arima's decision to go home. This becomes the perfect opportunity for Aqua to get intel from Kindaichi, as he is the one of the founding members of La 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 Theater that started off as a club of youngsters that wanted to just do their own thing. As their failures along the way, as Aqua tries to get Kindaichi to explain more about his past. It's clearly a touchy subject, but you know who else wants to know about Kindaichi's past? Taiki does, as he steps in to help Aqua convince Kindaichi to explain some of La La La's growth pains. So the story right here does the obvious thing and focuses straight on Aqua and his revenge, and into the most obvious person that will have a lot of insight into Ai's past. It's a perfect setup until we get that misdirection towards the end. And for Himekawa's character himself, he has not been that super interesting, even though he's portrayed as this top flight actor, but this gives this character a chance to be wrapped up within the main plot because of his connection to Kindaichi himself. Himekawa and Aqua takes Kindaichi into a bar where he gets cute girls to pour drinks for him to help loosen him up, to tell Aqua he is his daddy. Or at least that is what the story's doing to us to keep things interesting. As the pace slows down, as the big looming mystery behind Aqua's dad still dangles over our heads, Himekawa makes a great point that forming relationships with people you work with can be a real issue. So for someone like Taiki, who just turned hatachi, goes to a place where there will be a bunch of hot chicks serving you up a beverage to loosen you up, then a drunk Kindaichi comes over to Himekawa, who apparently helped raise Himekawa, who came from a children's home like Ai Hoshino did. There's something about being traumatized and having messed up childhoods that help get good acting. Toshiro Kindaichi brings up an interesting comparison that Himekawa and Aqua's acting are similar in that they are guys that act to match their surroundings from people that are imperfect, trying to fit into the world. So they are characters that lack something, so to fill in that gap of what they lack, they try to absorb everything else to make sense for what they are lacking. While the goal and purpose of the scene seems to be getting information out of Kindaichi, Aqua hit us with an okie doke. He smacks down a DNA test. Himekawa, we are siblings. It looks like daddy is a real scumbag, banging and ditching all of his kids. Will we recruit another Kurokawa who's down to yeet chi chi? Well, we won't know this episode because cliffhanger. When I watch episodes like these, and specifically for a story like Oshi no Ko that is very different in its theme, so I like to try to think and reverse engineer what makes the story interesting, what's keeping me engaged throughout the episode and the entire story. So now we have this mental insight into Aqua's psyche when he is performing at his best through his emotional acting. So in this show, that would be like Aqua's Super Saiyan powers is through his suffering and trauma to perform to be like a star. So for Aqua to get where he needs to go, he has to suffer. But as we see later throughout the story, just like how this episode ended, there's always an okie doke. But when it comes to being a great actor for Aqua, if he ever wants to continue being this great actor into the star, he will have to continually suffer through that trauma to draw out the performance he needs to draw out to be a good actor and have that great performance. And that he's also figured out how to get around his panic attacks, as his goals are so strong within his purpose to go find the truth about Ai Hoshino's death. And by this point, we get Akane and Arima's characters. They are love interests, they're different personalities that see the entertainment industry a little bit differently, and what they have, they don't really appreciate as much as what the other character has. They envy the other characters between Arima and Akane. And also we have kind of like Ruby's foreshadowing since that episode 15 with Minami and Kamoshida, which this entire season we're just wondering, hey, what's up with Ruby? Because there are a lot of questions about Ruby and how she's been acting. So that kind of serves that mystery element to the story that keeps us engaged as it sets us up for the next arc. So overall, it just comes down to why Aqua is acting and why him getting intel into Kindaichi, why that matters so much. And of course, his true goals was to talk to Taiki. We are all here to really find out what truly happened that led to Ai Hoshino's death. So anytime the story focuses on that main plot and that main mystery, we are going to be engaged. But overall, it comes down to why Aqua is acting and why him getting intel about Kindaichi matters so much. That is ultimately why we are here to find out about what led to Ai's death. So of course, he got to hit us with something unexpected, and that unexpectedness is Himekawa Taiki being half brothers. This is a huge revelation and one that got revealed while carefully stringing the audience along with the level of engagement through the audience's assumption of Kindaichi being somehow linked to Ai Hoshino that will reveal something major within the story. But what we didn't know was somehow Himekawa was ultimately going to be the big reveal. With the important context, the Aqua and Taiki, they share the same father. So yeah guys, it's going to be interesting to see what Taiki really says in the next episode. Also, I kind of lied to you guys. I said I really wasn't interested in reading the manga. I'm sorry guys, I read the manga, so I know what's up. And I'm at the start of Ruby's arc, her major character development arc, and a big reveal within the main plot of things that we were hoping to know the real context behind. So that is pretty much where I'm at within the manga. So of course I'm gonna have a lot to say when the episodes get there, but overall I just really enjoyed the construction of the Oshi no Ko episodes. I know a lot of people are complaining about the pacing, it needs to pick up, which I think it has. But when I watch something, you want to be engaged throughout. So a story like Oshi no Ko, what are they gonna do to keep me caring about the characters and what's going on? Akane and Arima, they're pretty much completed characters in terms of we get who they are. So it really comes down to Aqua and Ruby advancing that main plot of finding the real culprit or someone that shares the blame, a large part of the blame, into Ai Hoshino's death. And that is going to always be linked to Aqua's father and what other mysteries are surrounded around his father. So yeah guys, let me know what you guys thought about this episode and everything up until this point. So yeah, I am trying to catch up with the Oshi no Ko manga, so just let me know what you guys think. Do me a favor guys, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you guys haven't already, check out my blog at otakusen.com, and I appreciate you guys watching, and I'll see you guys on the next video.